When a conversation about faith comes your way, will you be ready? It might happen at work, in a casual chat with a neighbor, or when a friend shares what they believe. In that moment, you don't get to choose the topic, but you can be ready with the truth. That's why Dr. Jim Denison wrote Biblical Insight to Tough Questions, Volume 8. This book explains 9 major world religions and alternative belief systems like Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Mormonism, and more. You'll learn how each compares with Christianity and how you can engage clearly, lovingly, and biblically with those who follow them. We'll send you a copy of Biblical Insight to Tough Questions, Volume 8, to say thanks for your donation to help keep this daily article podcast going strong and equipping you and others with biblical clarity and truth in a confusing world. So please, act today. Visit supportdf.org to help more believers think clearly, live faithfully, and follow Jesus with courage. That's support, the letter D, the letter F, .org. Find the link to give in today's podcast episode notes and receive your copy of Biblical Insight to Tough Questions, Volume 8. Welcome to the Monday, September the 29th, 2025 edition of Denison Forum's Daily Article Podcast. I'm Chris Elkins, narrating today's daily article, authored by our CEO, Dr. Jim Denison. Note, for Dr. Jim Denison's response to yesterday's tragic shooting in Michigan, please see his Denison Forum website article, Attack on Michigan Church Leaves at Least 4 Dead. A link to it is in today's daily article podcast episode notes. President Trump will meet with the top 4 congressional leaders at the White House today, one day before the deadline to fund the federal government or face shutdown on Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. The White House warned yesterday that thousands of government jobs could be cut if lawmakers don't reach a deal. Federal agencies cannot spend or obligate money without approval from Congress. When Congress fails to enact the 12 annual appropriations bills, agencies must cease all essential functions until Congress acts. If Congress enacts some, but not all of the 12 appropriations bills, those without appropriations have to shut down, termed a partial shutdown. Why should you care? If Congress fails to fund the government before the fiscal year ends on September the 30th, here's what will continue. Members of Congress will be paid, per the 27th Amendment, and U.S. Capitol Police and security operations will not be affected. Transportation Security Administration agents and air traffic controllers must continue working, but they would do so without pay. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid would continue to run, though some services may be cut back. Veteran services will continue, though services outside the health system could be delayed. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps, would continue, but benefits could be impacted after 30 days. In addition, quote-unquote non-essential activities at the Capitol will cease, including formal Capitol tours will be canceled, the flag operation, where constituents may request an American flag be flown above the Capitol, will be suspended. Restaurants and barbershops will likely close, garbage won't be collected, national parks would close. The House of Representatives has approved a continuing resolution that would fund the government through November 21st. However, Republicans in the Senate control only 53 of the 60 votes needed to approve such a resolution, and Democrats say they won't support such a bill unless Republicans agree to extend expiring subsidies for Affordable Care Act premiums, among other things. As usual, both sides are blaming the other for this state of affairs. Both are expressing their willingness to allow the government to partially shut down rather than give the other side what it wants, and both are planning to blame the other for the consequences. This seems frustratingly counterintuitive. We elect leaders to represent our interests, but they are willing to allow government services that serve us to lapse in order to score political points. But they wouldn't say it that way. In their view, the other side is dangerous to the future of the nation, so short-term losses that prevent greater long-term losses are regrettable but necessary. This is nothing new for American politics. As Joseph Ellis notes in the book Founding Brothers, his Pulitzer Prize-winning history of the founding era, the first contested election in our history saw a very similar outcome. In 1796, John Adams was the leader of the Federalists who advocated for a strong central government in service of the new republic. Thomas Jefferson was the leader of the Republicans who fought for a limited national government and expanded autonomy for states and individuals. Adams came in first in the vote, followed by Jefferson. In processes of that day and time, this made Adams the president and Jefferson the vice president. Adams asked Jefferson to work with him in leading the nation, but Jefferson and his party refused, sitting on the sidelines and hoping Adams' administration would fail. Their strategy worked. Jefferson defeated Adams in the next election, essentially ending the Federalists as a national party. As you know, our government was created to secure our individual rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But our Constitution nowhere states how these rights should be defined. It is therefore unsurprising that political parties would arise to advance their constituents' views on the issues we face, and these parties would view the other side as dangerous to the common good as they see it. Whatever comes of the current shutdown threat, in a political environment as closely divided as ours, we can expect similar threats in the future. I understand why such battles are so heated in a secularized culture where material goods and financial outcomes are so highly prioritized. But as Brother David Vryhoff of the Society of St. John the Evangelist in Boston reminds us, quote, "There is a Roman proverb that says that wealth is like seawater. Instead of quenching a person's thirst, it only intensifies it. The more we get, the more we want." End quote. The columnist Art Buchwald was right. The things that matter most are not things. Accordingly, as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe reportedly observed, things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. Americans should be grateful to live in a country where we are free to pursue the things which matter most to us. For Christians, this means maximizing our constitutional freedom in the service of spiritual freedom. Our purpose as Christians must be to lead people to Christ. Everything we do is to be a means to this end. What John the Baptist said in John 3, verse 30 of Jesus is to be our motto and mantra. He must increase, and I must decrease. This is because only Jesus can give us the life, liberty, and happiness our republic was founded to enable. Only He can bestow eternal life, liberty from sin, and happiness in the midst of challenges. Only He can change our sinful hearts and unite us in a love for others that transcends political divides. Only He can lead our nation into our best future. If you doubt the power of the gospel to change lives, consider this ABC News headline. Tim Allen says Erica Kirk inspired him to forgive the man who killed his father. The comedian's father was killed by a drunk driver more than 6 decades ago. Last week, Allen posted on X, "When Erica Kirk spoke the words on the man who killed her husband, that man, that young man, I forgive him. That moment deeply affected me. I have struggled over 60 years to forgive the man who killed my dad. I will say those words now as I type, I forgive the man who killed my father. Peace be with you all." End quote. Who will hear and see the gospel of forgiving grace from you today? We're grateful for our podcast listeners. If you find the Daily Article podcast helps you better understand today's news and cultural issues and then respond biblically, please rate and review the Daily Article podcast on the platform from which you subscribe. That helps people find and follow the Daily Article podcast.